This is a project-based news discussion, analysis. As a result of that, we want to talk about something that's very significant, and that is, as you look at the United States being an exponent or an outgrowth of the so-called mother country of England, it's reasonable that David Rambeau takes a look in this book about the rise and fall of not the Roman Empire, but of the British Empire, Dave.
Yes, this is, as we have our sessions to talk about analysis, and I always try to bring in some kind of reading. And because of the G20 recently, I had to, in England, okay, I had to pull out this. The Rise and Fall of the British Empire, an excellent book, an illustrated history of the rise and fall of the British Empire. So that I think it is important for us to study history, and to study history not just in February. You know, Black History Month is every month, not just February. Mm-hmm. And here at For My People, Black History Week is every week, not just 4 weeks in February. So that when we study history, and I think it was Malcolm X that said history is what informs us best. And so if we're going to understand the nature of our situation here and the nature of what we should be doing now and into the future, we have to study history, not only ours, but others. And so when we study others, for example, the British Empire, particularly in their development of their monarchy and their slave trade, then we are studying our own history, and we're understanding the economic system.
When you talk about the British Empire, I think a lot of people are confused. We talked not too long ago about the Queen and the symbolism of the Queen. And I remember I was just watching this movie about Elizabeth, and, you know, she and her father, Henry VIII, they were ruthless. I mean, you know, today they'd be called gangsters. And so you look at this in terms of the development of the empire. What does that mean in terms of the G20? There was a big demonstration, people, anti-capitalist demonstration and so forth. Thousands of people demonstrating in England.
You know, I'm glad you said G20, because as the President, Barack Obama, says, it used to be the G2.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
But before the G2, it was the G1. And the G1 was the British Empire. Okay? Then it became, as Barack Obama indicated, the G2, just England, Britain, and the United States, so that Churchill and Roosevelt could, you know, just sit down and decide things. Well, then it grew to the G7, and now it's at the G20. Well, it's interesting even looking at the G20, because they indicate that the G20, 19 nations plus the European Union, these 20 political and economic entities control about 85% of the international domestic product. Okay, now there are another 150 other nations or political entities out there, and so if the G20 control all of that, then obviously all of the other nations are just getting crumbs off the table. And that is our situation here in the United States as an internal colony, black folk. We're just getting crumbs off the table. And as this economic situation here in the United States tightens up, it is tightening up on us. But it is also tightening up on all people of color and the working class people around the world. And those people who were demonstrating at the G20 in England are aware of that. And I think we here, and particularly black people here in this country, should also be aware of that the stranglehold on the U.S. economy and the world economy is frankly designed to be a noose around our neck. Because as I read in a cartoon, and you know, one of these rich folk in the 20th or 30th floor of the skyscraper was looking out, and he says to his wife, the ghetto isn't a problem. The ghetto is a solution to a problem. Well, hey, we can't be other people's solution to their problems here in 2009.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, when you look at the G20, you go back and you mentioned Malcolm X. He talked about the Bandung Conference, where people of color and post-colonial era got together to talk about what they could do from an economic standpoint. Interestingly enough, now, Dave, you have countries like Brazil and others which are saying, hey, we have another way even more so than that, and we're going to take our own destiny in our hands.
Absolutely, and you're absolutely right about taking destiny in our hands. It is time for black folk in this city and other cities and states to take destiny in our hands, and we must move from the point of view of anti-poverty programs to economic development programs. We have to move from the negative to the positive. That is to say, at whatever economic level we're at, you are where you're at, and you have to look at it in a positive form. If you're alive, you got to struggle. And I think here in the United States and in the black community as well, we have to consider the fact that in Haiti they eat, literally eat mud pies. And it's staggering the imagination, the reality of it, that they call them a bonbon terre. It's absolutely ridiculous. So we have to take what is in our community and harness the energy and productivity in our own interest to serve our own needs.
Dave, since you're familiar with French, that sounds like to me that bonbon terre is good earth in some way, or good mud. I mean, hey, it's right before us, right here, even in the city of Detroit. Maybe not that much, but close to it. This has been a Project Bait News Analysis, and always David Rambeau gives us something to think about. If you'd like to think about this or look at it, reach us on our website, projectbait.blackgold.net, projectbait.blackgold.net.
Do you realize children of Haiti eat mud pies? Mud pies. Bonbon terre. They eat down there. Do you realize children of Haiti eat mud pies? Mud pies.